ARCOT 2023 conference. The title of our poster is called Caribbean Occupational Needs Perspectives in Education and Training of Occupational Therapists. My name is Dr. Blaine Robin, leads Beckett University.
And my name is Odette Richardson, Chair of Council and Head OT at Newcastle Hospitals.
The aim of this paper is to provide a theoretical and practice resource for students and newly qualified occupational therapists about the occupational needs of Caribbean people. Caribbeans have made a significant contribution as legacy to the progress of places outside the Caribbean region, often understated outside the media's contemporary stereotype of Caribbean people. And these are celebrated stereotypes, including those participating in occupations such as musicians, athletes, footballers. They arrived from the Caribbean as British subjects after World War II, 1948 approximately. And much of their contributions, including work ethic, iconic dress, culture, dialect, and humour, has been assimilated into the mainstream and as a result have now been forgotten.
The Kawa model will be used to critically tell a story of what was once a story of typical modes of survival for a predominantly working class demographic, and how occupational therapists should lead society in its approach for advocating on behalf of a highly resourceful community using a strength-based approach pioneered by the world-first Australian Aboriginal occupational therapist, Chantel Gibson.
Much of the environment that we came to then required a process of adaptation, and it impacted one's sense of time, place, and orientation, evoking expressions akin to the environment not being good enough or welcoming, a sense of dissonance or force ripe. Force ripe is a food metaphor from the farming community of the Caribbean where migrants came from. The idea of picking a fruit like mango or guava too early can render the bitter taste in one's mouth. And this is almost an inevitability. There is almost an inevitability about the journey to a force-ripe state. The sun, without heat, hangs in the sky like a force-ripe orange. It is almost an expression of inevitability about the challenges which we will face in the host country.
So growing up in Jamaica, food has always been a large part of my upbringing. My parents were from the less affluent side of the island and had to eke out a living with subsistence farming. My dad tried his hand at everything. He raised cows, goats, and pigs. He also cultivated the field and grew all sorts of vegetables. The lowly callaloo plant was grown and harvested and was sold at market to pay for our education. My parents firmly believed that a good education was essential to lift us out of poverty, and so each of us were given the education as a foundation.
In conclusion, then, the Caribbean perspective of occupational needs allows us to reflect philosophically about who we are as British people of Caribbean heritage. In the UK, we are or originate predominantly from a migrant population. We arrived on UK shores as part of the post-war building effort following the end of World War II. We have adapted to a life in the UK, often through a process of painful growth. The transitional process of adaptation encompasses the environment, the social and cultural adaptation. Home for many is a place left behind. Home for many is our adopted home and host country, a place where we are born now and a place where we journey to. Thank you very much.
Stop the recording.